is very timely because last weekend I was like, I really want to bring back like the in-person podcast element in my own brand, and because it's an amazing way to have great conversations, build great relationships, further them, and maybe this is technically the first episode of this
Nice.
new
I'm in.
in-person podcast, and I think you're the perfect guest for it. And but yeah, I think I don't know how much instruction I was given, but it's basically I'm the guy that asks good questions at your events. So I was brought on stage to ask good questions that can help inspire the audience and give them ideas as well as give myself ideas. And I've studied you a lot, David. A lot of your podcasts or YouTube videos and stuff like that. And there's definitely a lot of things I want to touch on today. By the way, how much time do we have, Nick?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
I'll give you a 5 warning.
Perfect.
After 20 minutes, we're just visiting. Bob Proctor taught me that.
So,
Changed his mind.
Great. I'll be extra safe. Don't want expensive B-roll today.
right. So I've taken, I've had a lot of coaches, consultants, and, I've consulted for a lot of people on this and that. And in 2024, it's all about, everybody's talking about how to grow your business through technology. It's ads, it's funnels, it's social media strategy, it's reels, all of that. But everything that I know about you, David, is, you've been around a lot longer than, a lot of these modern technologies have been around. And my question for you is, from a non-technical approach, what are some of the best ways to get clients and grow a business?
First of all, let's go anti-tech. I did that yesterday at Adweek. Everybody was talking about AI, and somebody, as I was going down the escalator for my keynote, said, "So are you going to talk about AI?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Thank God." I said, "What are you going to talk about?" I said, "Shakespeare." And I got their attention. And so let's start with Shakespeare when we talk about how to build a brand. I'm very interested in Shakespeare and Einstein for 2 reasons. Because to me, both of them have brands that someday I would love to have. It's why I licensed Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil. Why I just recently licensed it is I realized that it's too competitive and too expensive to build a brand like Einstein, Shakespeare, or Napoleon Hill. Einstein and Shakespeare are at a different level. They're like at a Gary Vee level compared to a David Meltzer level on social, but yet still very important. So what did Shakespeare say to build a brand? The first thing that he said is most important, and it's being muted and transmuted in the wrong way. And all of us have been talking about it in different ways. Shakespeare said something that's so powerful. To thine own self be true. Do you know how many times your answers are basically Shakespearean in context? Your answers are to thine own self be true. Yet, just like saying thank you or being committed to consistent behavior, most people are not true to themselves. They lie to themselves and then they lie to others. They lie to themselves that they're confident or comfortable. They lie to themselves that they're good people or humble people or provide value. They're lying to themselves. I think it's personally human nature. And it's human nature to lie to ourselves because we're afraid. And we're afraid of anything that's uncertain. And unfortunately, things are uncertain at all times. That's why wisdom and faith are so powerful. In order to have or to live by thine own self, I am, we have to seek wisdom and faith in order to believe I am. Mm-hmm. Not this is what I want people to think I am. I'm very pragmatic. One of the superpowers I talked about besides consistency is putting things in context. I like to bucket I am into my skills, my knowledge of who and what, and my desire. It's the easiest way that I can communicate when you talk about building a brand is to look internally and develop your skills, knowledge, and desire aligned with what's doing well today, what's stable today, and what you think is going to be doing well in the future.
Yeah.
I try to align in the human experience. The pragmatic human experience has one defining or consistency of all human experiences. We know there's one common denominator of all human experience. It's experienced within 24 hours. See, all human beings are experiencing it within 24 hours of the human experience. Everything else is infinite. And so in that realm, I put things into context to say, okay, cool. If you're going to be I am, then start with who I am for this 24 hours within the context of what actually is going on today and what I think I want in the future by deriving wisdom and faith from my past. Because that's the reference point that I have. What meaning am I giving the past? Like, what meaning do I give losing both my parents? What meaning do I give losing all my money? What meaning do I get by not getting that deal? What meaning do I get from whatever it is that I'm experiencing in the human experience based off of 24 hours a day, which is the common denominator of all human experience? That's, to me, the key to building a brand is that more people that know thine own self, defined by whatever you want to. I'm giving you some indicators of 35 years of searching for how to build a brand best.
Yeah.
Is for me, I have found that capability is the best way to have a frequency in neighborhood. Your capability as a product, service, solution, or personal brand within the context of understanding capability is derived value. My capability is my value. In human beings, our capabilities are based on our skills, because that's how we provide value, our knowledge of who and what, because that's how we provide value, and our desire, our inspiration, that's how we provide value. You can come up with whatever the F you want, I don't care. But it's important to take inventory of thine own self in order to effectuate the alignment by what's doing well today, according to me, what's stable today, according to me, and what I think is going to do well, according to me, meaning pertaining to the subject matter, topic, or expertise in which I want to pursue by my own personal values. Notice it has nothing to do with anybody else. Why? Because in the past, it would have to do with other people because we were limited to the access of other people. Today, it's the exact opposite, that we have too much access to too many people. And so we have to actually even more look within, which leads me to the second Shakespearean lesson about what we're doing here today, what John Barrett does, by the way, as well, who just walked in, waved to everybody. What is a third of the value of coming to the mastermind or anything else Dave Meltzer does is understanding Shakespeare. I don't get how him and Einstein knew shit that was going on, you know, for Shakespeare thousands of years later. He already knew what was going on, and Einstein hundreds a year later, he knows what's going on. But they both knew one thing: the whole world is my stage. Shakespeare said it. How did he know when he wrote those plays that the whole world was his stage? Because it wasn't. When Shakespeare was writing Hamlet and you went to the other side of the world and you said, hey bro, have you ever read Shakespeare? They would be like, which meant, who the fuck is Shakespeare? That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
The whole world was not Shakespeare's stage when he wrote The Whole World Is My Stage. But today, go to the other side of the world and you say, hey, have you ever read Shakespeare? And what do they say? Of course. Have you ever heard of Einstein? Of course. When I say Einstein, what do you think? Genius. When I say Shakespeare, what do you think? Genius. What's a pretty powerful brand? Everybody knows me as a genius in my subject matter, topic, or expertise. That's pretty phenomenal. And so understanding branding today, that we have two things to consider when we're building our brand: capability, figure out whatever that means to you. For me, it's skills, knowledge, and desire, aligned with what I think is doing well, I think is stable, and I think what will be doing well, determinative upon my timing and risk tolerance. I'm going to align the amount of man-made constructive time, the common denominator of the human experience, towards certain amount of what's doing well, certain amount is stable, and a certain amount what I think is doing well. According to mine, not anybody else. Not what my mom thinks the internet's the fad, or Justice Scalia thinks you can't do research on a computer. All this shit that I heard 32 years ago. Internet's never gonna last. Nobody will ever put a credit card on the internet. Anybody ever hear that? Anybody old enough to hear that? I bought a car on the internet, one of the first people in America to buy a car. You would have thought they were gonna put a straitjacket on me. You just threw away $18,000. I said, no, I saved $6,000 to prove that the internet is safe. And I got a $6,000 discount for proving, and my mom got a nicer car than I could afford. That sounds like a win to me, because I believed what was going to be doing well in the future, what was stable today, and what I thought was doing well, like putting a credit card on the internet. Same holds true for you. So that's why here today, post-production content is so important, and that I am one of the best content capturers in the world. Not one of the best content creators, not one of the best content amplifiers, and not one of the best content perpetuators yet. But I want to be, and I want to get better at it. So I keep practicing it and providing more and more opportunities for everybody to join me on this journey. So I do it in person. I capture who I am in person. I capture who I am via email. Mm-hmm. I capture who I am on the phone via text and voice. And of course, traditional media and social media. And the biggest compliment that I get is I must be doing things right, because several people, not everyone in the world, but several people that I run into say, oh my gosh, David Meltzer, you're everywhere. That's pretty cool. Most of the people on earth don't know who I am. They do know Einstein and Shakespeare. A lot of people know Napoleon Hill. Very exponentially less people on earth know David Meltzer, but there actually are people on earth that say David Meltzer is everywhere. I'm building a brand, and it's my capability.
Yep. So what would you say then for the people that are afraid to show their authentic self on social media?
First of all, that's okay. I remember the first time I told Gary Vaynerchuk that I was too afraid to say I was bankrupt, and then I did. And all these people that had the similar experience or were afraid of that experience came out and said, dude, I love you. I can't believe how vulnerable you are. I can't believe you're inspiring me. Whoa. Nobody said, you're a loser. You lost everything. In fact, more people still today ask me for financial advice, not because I made a lot of money and remade a lot of money. They specifically wanted my advice about how I lost my money, which I think is awesome. So I say you're fine, but just start practicing what you want to expose to people about yourself. And if you are going to choose to capture who you are, then make it who you are, not who people you want to think you are.
No.
Be okay with it. The greatest thing about all these people is 10% of the people are going to love you for who you are. 10% are going to hate you for who you are. And if you're annoying, which I define as consistent and honest about who you are, you'll keep getting more and more of the 80% that really don't give a shit about you the first time they see you. 10% will love you no matter what. It's a frequency thing. 10% will hate you no matter what. But if you're consistent and honest with who you are, you'll adapt and adopt and accelerate more of the 80% of the 7.6 billion people possible in the 80%. But every 100 people you talk to, or 2 people you talk to, or 20 or 200 or 2,000, or as you grow it, it'll even get to 20,000 sometimes in person. It'll get to 2 million sometimes on the internet. 10% of those people love me the first time they see me. 10% hate me.
Yeah.
But I'm so consistent and honest with who I am that I'm adopting more and more of the 80%, the 7.6 billion that doesn't mean anything the first time they see me, or they don't know who I am.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So it's kind of like a law, which is there's always going to be this amount of people that aren't going to like me no matter what I say. And then there's going to be a lot of people that do really like me, and then the majority are going to be indifferent. And what you're saying is over time, as you express more of who you are, that 80% who might have been more indifferent will gradually probably either like you more or dislike you more. But either way, when you're building a brand, it's all about creating more of those people that
And most
like
people
love
that
you.
do this will tell you, a lot of people that initially don't like you, if you keep doing it in yourself, a lot of those people will start to like you.
Hmm.
Some of the people that love you no matter what will start not liking you.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, Shakespeare was right. The whole world's our stage. So who cares? There's way too many people to reach. You know, we talk about people who have 100 million followers. Oh my gosh, Kim Kardashian has 100 million people who know who Kim Kardashian is. That's nothing compared to how many people are on social media. I'll be impressed when someone says, I have 7.6 billion people. That'd be awesome. But you can't, trust me, if anyone is working with me, we cannot handle how many people not only know who David Meltzer is, love David Meltzer, and hate David Meltzer. Forget about all the people that don't know David Meltzer. And I have 600,000 people on Instagram, 900,000 people on TikTok, 150,000 on YouTube. You know, in total, about 2 million people. 2 million. You know what that means in the total addressable community, let's call it? If you're a business person, that's amazing. But it's also, I can't handle it. And it keeps doubling. And so, you know, this is a huge opportunity for everyone, no matter what you want to do with your brand, which should be equated to your capability.
Awesome. So something that stands out about your story is that there's a lot of like miracles that happen, you know, some really interesting things. The one that I always, you know, go back to is like that huge like watch deal that you brokered like right after you lost everything and you became a millionaire in 2 weeks again through, you know, brokering this big deal. And I'm just wondering, like, if you were to, you know, create a presentation or give a lecture on how to create more miracles in your own life, like what would you say?
First, Reconnected to Goodness, which I will send to everybody that doesn't have it. I love Ike because he grabs free books every time and he gives them away. I tell him you don't even have to give them away, just leave them. When you write a book about manifestation, anybody that finds it thinks that it's a miracle. It was meant for them. It's a calling. What a great marketing tool. So miracles, the blue vase story from Marie Diamond, that's the same as any miracle. Is me a miracle of having a deal? No. What it is define purpose or intentionality. I am faithful that the universe works in an exact manner. What you pay attention to, what you focus in on, and what you give your intention to. Yeah. What I do, say, think, feel, and believe, aligned with what I'm focused in on, will manifest, materialize, monetize at its divine time, providing me divine detours in the interim if it takes longer than an instant. The blue vase, like I've had instant things like 2 weeks later, I find the deal. That's pretty fast in divine time. Yeah. But I'm okay with the divine time that it took me to get to where I am of 56 years and the 38 years that I was in a divine detour to get me to where I am. And I kept not wanting to go on the divine detour. I kept fighting it because I knew the directions. I didn't realize somebody else was giving them to me. Right. So for me, this mathematical equation, right now I'm focusing in on my next home for when my son goes to college, which is 4 years from now. I'm focusing in. We went to look at homes last weekend. People were like, oh, are you buying? No. What are you doing? I'm utilizing the coincidences to work in my favor. Does it mean that that's going to, look, we may do it before 4 years because the universe manifests. This is exactly what I do. So I'm doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing everything in the divine direction for our next home. Because attention plus intention equals results, consequences, coincidences in my life, the coinciding of the universe, because I am going to gather the wisdom, align it with where I want to be or better, and let my faith provide me where I want to be or better. Yep. And have that be my guidepost. It's the mathematical equation of luck. For sure.
So let's say I want to manifest something specific in my life. It could be a relationship. It could be a certain amount of money, some kind of career accomplishment. what would be the plan to help bring that into reality? Like, what are some practical
Sure.
things?
So I use 5 daily practices in the human experience, which are based daily, which is the 24 hours, the common denominator of all human experience. So I say to myself every morning, what is it I want today? According to the circumstances of today, and how am I going to utilize my 24 hours today, according to the circumstances of today, in order to progress towards where I want to be or better.
So you start with intention.
I start with intention, and then I ask myself, who can I help and who can help me with what I want today in that divine direction according to the circumstances of today. I'm setting reality into place, and how can I utilize my 24 hours to do, say, think, feel, and believe everything I can in alignment with that without jeopardizing the non-negotiables of what I'm also going to do during the day that's outside of that manifestation. Maybe, a minimum of an hour a day on my health, 7 hours of sleep, a minimum of 30 minutes with my wife, 30 minutes with my son, 2 minutes with my 3 daughters, a minimum of 10 minutes to study my time, a minimum of 10 minutes on faith, whatever it may be. Now I got about 14 or 13 and a half hours of variant behavior in which I start to manifest. Okay, I'm now going to spend today intention on my new home. I'm going to spend, so I know what I want, who can help me and who can I help, and how can I best get that done according to the circumstances of the day. Oh, it's beautiful weather. Let's go look in Laguna, take the 55 Ford Thunderbird, make this like a vacation, stop and have a little date on the Ritz-Carlton deck, and go look at homes and see what happens.
So how does that relate to who can I help? Because when you're thinking about something, you think, who can help me? But how does who can I help come into that?
So I show up at this home, no intention to buy, and there's 2 real estate agents in the home, and we start talking, and I said, well, how's it going today? What's going well? What's not? How long have you lived? I've lived here this long. Oh, do you guys have a broker for this? We said, well, we have one in San Diego, but it's an obligatory relationship because we want to make sure that we take care of our friend, that they would make money if we bought a home. If we're going to pay someone to help us, we would want to help our friend. Oh, I understand, but I've been doing this here for 35 years. I can get off market properties and all this stuff. I'd love to help them, and I could share in the commission. And then they wouldn't have to drive back and forth from Orange County. They wouldn't have the dummy tax that I've already paid in Laguna. Oh, can I help you and make that introduction? Maybe you guys can partner on more properties besides me, because we're not buying right now. So my intention of the day, according to the circumstances of the day, because this is a circumstance particular to the day, is that I'm giving as well as, hey, you can help me manifest what I want, but I'm always looking to how can I help you? Right? And I'm also, now I have this great resource that I found, this lady that has, she knows everything about that area. She grew up there. All the relationships, that's how I ended up with my beach house in San Diego, was not on the market. There was nothing on the market at that time. Best investment real estate of my life is my beach house on the boardwalk in San Diego. So it is a key component, right? My prayer in the morning, like yours, Sammy, is may God put at least 10 people in front of me that I can help, and may he put at least 10 people in front of me that can help me. That's the fastest and easiest way to get to where you want to be. Then I can say, okay, how am I going to get this done today? Okay, well, I have a minimum amount of time I like to vacation every day. I have a minimum of 30 minutes I want to spend with my wife. I have a minimum amount of time, right? All these things. It's beautiful out on the weekend. I'm utilizing the human experience and the common denominator of the human experience, 24 hours, to maximize where I want to be or better. Knowing that energy aggregates, accelerates, and compounds exponentially. And that intention is an energy, money's an energy, time's an energy, space is an energy. And I'm using it to its maximum capacity by aggregating, accelerating, and compounding exponentially, by being faithful and also intentional to seek the wisdom. Not just the wisdom of intellect, but intuition and inspiration. There's wisdom in all 3. Intellect, intent, inspiration, and intuition. There's wisdom in all 3.
So when I'm getting, one of the big points is like when I am thinking about what I want to accomplish, it's also asking the universe for opportunities for me to help other people. And this is what I wrote down, earlier, which is probably the 100th time I've written this down. The more
Good.
you give, the more you're given, right?
Yep.
So making it a priority to not just, hey, I want to get what I want, but also I want to help other people what they want, and be in that mentality every day. How can I not just work towards my own goals, but help other people work towards theirs?
So once again, right, within the construct of the human experience, we have to utilize the day. And so if it's an important relationship that you always want to help, like my children or my wife, then I give a minimum amount of time every single day. I don't miss. So that's going to give me, but then I have other relative relationships. John and I have a relationship. Marie and I have, Mike and I have a relationship. And so determinative upon the relativity, which for me is based off of three things. Relativity is based off of how, number one, what is my relationship according to feeding and bleeding? So I used to say, if it feeds you, feed it. If it bleeds you, dump it. That's not true, right? It's very relationship, feeding and bleeding. So sometimes someone bleeding you feeds you more. Like our children. Anyone that has children, no matter how old they are, when they bleed you, it feeds you. I have an 81-year-old mom. When she bleeds me, it feeds me. I live my life. I wanted to manifest what? I wanted to be able to be rich enough to take care of my mom at the highest level. Right? Oh,